moving on to the third step. And the third step is once we grab this value, we want to display it in the list. So in our HTML, we already have an unordered list. We need to add the list item to this list. All right. And we already know from our previous videos, to add an item to a list, we have to first create an element, and then we have to modify the element the way we want. And then we actually say, let's see if I can open our cheat sheet over here. Yep. So we create the elements, document.createElement. We're going to create an li and add certain text. So node.textContent is going to be the text that we capture. And then we are going to simply append that element to our UL. So parent.append child, we're going to add the item. That's all we need to do. It's not that complicated. All right. So let's do that. So the first step is to create. So the sub steps over here is to, let's say, create the element, right? The list item element, and then add the text, the user text to the element, and then add the element to the element as a child to UL, right? So these are the three steps we need to do. So seems like this is a lot of task. So what a good thing to do is to actually make sub functions for different activities. But first, we need to capture this UL in over here as a constant, right? So actually, we're going to just do it in order. So over here, the first step is create the element. So I'm going to create a function, and I'm going to call it function create item. All right, I'm just going to call it item. And the task of this particular function is to say const, let's say item is equal to document.createElement. All right. And then what's the element we need to create? It's going to be an li, right? It's going to be a list item. What else does this li have now? So the li should actually have what? Text content should be this particular value. All right. So let's say this is a function. We're going to pass this value to it, and we're going to just use it over here. So I'm going to just call it val, right? Stay with me over here. You're learning how to design an application as well over here. And whatever is provided over here, it's going to just assign it over here like such. Create element is going to receive a parameter called val, and it's going to simply, create an li and then add the text item to it, whatever we provide. And once it's done, it's going to spit out, return this new item. That's all. That's the task of this particular function. So we are isolating pieces of our code to separate functions, right? Perfect. So now this particular function can be used anywhere, right? Multiple times. So remember from our cheat sheets, like I don't know which one it was, we were talking about functions. So let's go back to the function. Here it is. So function, we need the function so that we can organize code into sections and code so that it allows for code reusability. So we can keep on using these functions again and again and again. All right. So that's why we are adding this in a function, because we need to keep on using this function again and again, because every time a particular task is added, we're going to keep on using this function. All right. So this function can now be used over here, and we can pass this item over here. It's going to create this li, and now we can store this new item over here. So I'm just going to call it new item is equal to this. So you see what's happening over here. Pause the video if you want to digest what's happening over here. Okay. So unpause and let's resume. So when this particular function runs, when the click happens, this function runs. This function calls another function. This function says, okay, my job is only to create a new li and add the value, whatever I'm given. This value is given to it. It adds it in the content and spits out this newly created li. This new li is now stored over here. This is a node, and now we need to add this particular node to the UL. All right. So we already did this part. So add the element to the UL. So to do that, we need to capture the UL first, right? So where's our UL over here? Here it is. It's the class of to do. Before we move forward, I still want to check if my code is not broken yet. So I'm going to refresh, and yeah, it seems everything is fine. If I click nothing should happen because I'm actually not console.logging. So nothing should happen. That's fine. So now back to our step over here, 3.3. Over here, I'm going to say const ul is equal to document.query selector. And then I'm going to pass in the class with a dot. So dot, what was it? List to do? Oh, it was to do. Yeah. Save. Yep, it was called to do. And that is captured now. So now I can simply go over here and say ul dot append child and then the new item, like such. So now let's refresh, and this should work now. So let's see. I'm gonna add an item, add, and yes, I'm so happy it got added. So now let's change the item. I'm gonna put whatever. Yes, this is added. So this is pretty good, all right? So it's not perfect, but it's working. The functionality is working. Now, if I refresh, the app resets, and then everything is cleared, and we can start from scratch. And that's what happens with a front-end application. It does not store information. If you want to make a real-world application that persists information, you need a database. And for that, you need a backend. So that's out of the scope of this particular course. But as you are a member of I Love Coding, all of these different pieces are taught in I Love Coding. So how you can make a full stack application from front end to back end to database in I Love Coding. But that's a different topic. But you need this particular piece to finish the entire application. And we're still not done. There are a lot of features remaining, but we have the big piece down. So talk to you in the next lesson.